Hey, it's Nate.
Hey, it's Brian.
Hey, it's Barry.
Welcome back to the Collecti-Bros podcast. Topic at hand for today's episode. I don't want to use the word hate. Games that surprised you and exceeded your expectations. Maybe you had kind of an view going in. You were pleasantly surprised after playing it. We're going to talk about that today. We ask kindly that you'd please take a moment of your time to check us out on all of our social medias, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We also have a Discord that Barry worked very hard on. That's got a nice little interaction going on it. I'm really enjoying using Discord, so thank you, Barry.
The invite link is in the show notes, if you were wondering.
Yeah. We're at Collecti-Bros Pod on all platforms on social media. Please check us out on the Buzzsprout page, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. We're at collectibrospodcast.buzzsprout.com.
Leave us a review and tell us why you like us better than Joe Rogan. Thank you, bye.
As is tradition with these episodes, let's talk about what we've picked up and what we're currently playing. Barry?
Don't start with me. I'll just go. I'll take the whole time.
I know,
somebody else.
But it's a big deal, anticipated game for the podcast, so I do want to talk to you first.
Let Brian go first.
We'll save the best for last.
We can end on mine, because I'm sure you have some stuff to say.
I do a little bit. Not as much, unfortunately. Brian, current pickups, what are you currently playing?
I actually picked up a bunch of new releases recently. I know last time I talked about picking up Diablo 4. I've been playing that. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. Everything I was initially worried about going in has been a non-issue. As of now, the storefront's not invasive. The open world was my biggest fear. I didn't think it'd feel like Diablo, but it actually works really, really well the way they implemented it into the game. I've been playing with friends, been playing with Sherry. It's a blast. Diablo 4 is great. The skill tree is awesome. There's so much variety for builds, and I think the builds are better than D3. So, and by the end of, I know D3 had its issues at launch, but you're just a hater if you don't think D3 is a good game by the end of it. They've done a great job with Diablo 4. I'm excited for the future. The events and stuff start coming out this week, so we're going to see what that entails, but props to Diablo 4. It's been great. Also picked up AEW Fight Forever. Been really anticipating this game. A big AEW fan. The actual gameplay itself, it's great. In the ring, it feels like No Mercy. It's momentum based instead of just being a ridiculous simulation, which is hilarious in professional wrestling. Like, most of these dudes go out there and call it as it's going on, so the fact that they make it whatever, it's a great alternative for people in our age group who grew up playing No Mercy. Like, it's what you've been waiting on in the ring. I can imagine. I haven't played with Nate yet, but that's gonna be a blast, dude. You can tell this is gonna be the couch co-op game of your childhood, and it's good to have a modern version of it. It truly is a great alternative.
It doesn't delete your save.
Yeah. The in-ring stuff's great. My only issues is you can tell it's kind of maybe 75% done in the oven. It's kind of bare bones as far as, the unlockables. The Road to Elite mode is fun, but there is some old school wrestling cheapness at times. Good example, I'm in the Battle Royale, Luchasaurus just slaying everybody, throw 6 dudes over the rope, and one dude that's fresh comes in and just mops me. But you know what? The game itself is a blast to play, and that's what I want to do in these games. I'm not looking for, a game where it's they're not going to support it, and this is what you're going to get. They're going to support this game. They've already announced a Battle Royale mode in a wrestling game, which is going to be awesome. So they're going to keep supporting it. It's going to grow. It's unfortunately the modern market and the modern model for a game that it's not done when you buy it. But that's my only gripe. It is a blast. Pick it up if you're a wrestling fan or if you have that old school nostalgia itch. It's totally worth it.
The one thing I'll add really quickly, because I picked it up too and I'm playing it, is it's not going to be an annual release, which is exciting for the sports genre. Wrestling gets kind of thrown into sports games, but so they might actually support it because it's not going to be an annual release, which we'll see. But
they've already said the season pass 1 is how it's labeled, so they're going to have multiple season passes, or you can buy the pieces of DLC individually. So if there's a character you don't care about, you don't have to buy them. But they also said they're adding modes, they're going to add belts, they're going to add more than just skins and characters, which is awesome. The future for this game is going to be bright. And like I said, it's a good foundation to start off. It's $60 instead of $70. It's a good game. It's fun. That's all I really care about, is that it's fun. Some other things I picked up. I finally got my Tetris Effect Collection Edition from Limited Run Games. For you guys that don't know, every version of this game comes in a different shape and color box. So like the Xbox version's the like the Z piece and it's green. The Switch is like an L and it's red, and the PlayStation's blue. So it's a super cool collector's edition. It was the first limited run game for Xbox, so I was really excited to get it. And I opened it up, and there's no game in it. So unfortunately, I had to get with limited run. They're gonna send me a game apparently, maybe in like 6 years. We'll see. But just excited to get that. Also, shout out to Swoosh Bear in the Discord. Hit me up on the lead for Monster Bass for the PlayStation. Knew I was a fishing fan, and he was like, "Hey, you ever hear this game?" And I haven't. So I picked up a new copy off eBay for $20. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. I really want to, but
It looks wild.
dude, it's so up my alley. Like, yeah, thank you so much for that recommendation. I can't wait to play that. But actually, the fishing game I have been playing. So if you guys don't know, like what I kind of play, I start too many games at once is my biggest problem. But like I usually play a fishing game in like little increments. So I beat Fishing Adventure, which was horrible, like stolen asset Android game. Put about 40 hours into that and beat that. So the next, stolen asset, it's not a stolen asset, I shouldn't say that. The backstory is actually really cool for this one. So this one's called Free Diving Hunter, Spearfishing the World. It might be the longest title ever. But as a solo developer, he lived in Cuba for his whole life. And like he was an artist selling traditional paintings. And he eventually got a PS2 when he was younger, fell in love with video games, and then kind of realized he can combine like his three loves, like spearfishing, art, and then video games. So he moved to America, has his own studio, one-man team, made a spearfishing game. So pretty cool story. Game's a little rough if I'm being honest, but like it's hard to shit on it when one guy made it. I'm playing on an Xbox Series X, and the slowdown is wild. So like you'll hit a fish with a spear, and you'll have to like reel it in. The problem is if there's like a school of fish swimming by, it just chugs and chugs and chugs, and it lets the fish get off the line. But it's actually pretty fun. It's kind of like a mix of an FPS and a fishing game, and it's a really cool story for one guy to make this game and like have a wide release. Like pretty fun. But that's what I've been playing. What about you, Nate?
So we'll do some pickups. It's kind of a combination effort here. Barry and I had a nice little haul one day. We went out. Barry had a free day for the first time in a while. Let's take advantage of it to go some game hunting. So, nice little scores around town. Picked up, Barry, I'm going to help with pronunciation.
I was actually sitting here thinking, did we talk about this one yet? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think we did.
Record of Agarest? Agarest.
Spell it. Sound it out, buddy.
Agarest?
It's fine.
I don't know, man. It's a JRPG. It was really cheap. It's one of those games. I had a little stack. Barry ended up taking most of them because I was like, hey, I don't see this a lot.
I didn't take them.
I gave them to...
You said, hey, check these out, and I said...
I didn't mean anything
That's
by
what
it.
happened.
I didn't mean anything by it. But this was the scraps of that because Barry already had it.
That's Brian's job, not mine.
They were...
What's my job?
To body people.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey.
So this was the JRPG I picked up. I don't pick up it's hard to find PS3 games that we're looking for still.
It's an exclusive, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's pretty exciting. Found the steelbook for South Park: The Fractured Butthole, and it was like ungodly cheap. It was priced like the normal one, so I went ahead and picked that up.
Didn't you end up getting that for like free?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Barry. Also picked up Tomb Raider Definitive Edition on Xbox One. I just hadn't seen this version before, and it has like a mini book in it. Paper box. It's kind of cool. The big one for me, been looking for it for a while, is Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth on the original Xbox.
Yeah.
It was clean.
It was.
The registration card.
Nice.
I paid pretty much standard price for it, but you know what? That's one I've been looking for, really wanted for a long time.
That condition, I would have bought it too.
Yeah, like I don't mind paying.
I paid more for mine because it was super mint. Also, it's a god tier original Xbox game.
I'm pretty much a cheap asshole at game collecting at this point, but well, I'm a cheap guy at this point when it comes to game collecting. But
Fine.
Family.
Family.
I don't mind paying full price or something if it's like in perfect condition. So it even has a registration card. Just for achievement hunting purposes, WWE 2K22 on the Series X, pick that up. They're shutting their servers down for 2K games only have a 1-year server life now, so you have to pick up whenever the new one comes out. You have to pick up the last year's to get it done before they shut it down in December. Scored Medieval Resurrection on PSP. I really enjoyed that series. So it was one I didn't have. It was under $10, like have to at that point. As far as new releases, I actually picked up 2. I walked into a GameStop and bought new games, which is the first time in a very long time. But there are 2 that have been on my radar for quite a while. So AEW Fight Forever and Final Fantasy 16, the Deluxe Edition.
Yeah. I was shocked you actually found that there.
I knew I was going to. It's so weird, man. I had like a Vision Quest, bro. Like, we were at work talking about it. And you're like, did you pre-order it? And I was like, no, I didn't. And I know games are hard to find. Like, we were actually talking to Discord. It's like, it's really hard to find games at a new store if you don't buy them. So I was like, well, you told me like Amazon's got it in stock. So I was like, you know what? Like, I'll go home. I'll just buy it on Amazon tonight. That way, like, after work this weekend, I can just sit there and play it. But like, I went home. I was like, I had to go run a couple errands. I was like, I'm going to find, like, I visualized it. Like, I'm going to find both these games at this GameStop because I never go into this GameStop. It's right by where I work.
You manifested it.
I did, dude.
Yeah.
I did. And there were literally the last 2 copies of each one, so it's kind of crazy. But
You could say you summoned it. Ooh, shitty Final Fantasy joke.
go home. You're a 2-man podcast now. But I'm not going to talk about that one too much. I'm only an hour into it because
We'll talk about it.
Barry's been playing
That's
it.
going to be the chunk of what I talk about.
Played it, I should say. So, Barry, let's move on to you.
We'll talk about Final Fantasy 16 in a second. But as far as what I've picked up, really anything of like actual, I had a decent little stack, to be honest.
Yeah, we scored, dude.
The PS3 games in question that I did not take.
No, I didn't mean
I was offered.
I did not mean anything
I
like
just want to make everybody aware. I
Barry's
don't
not a
go
jerk.
out and like hoard.
We have an agreement.
anything.
If Barry has a pile of Xbox games remotely intercepted, we kind of get first dibs, and Barry gets it's
true.
It's all agreeable. This wasn't. I didn't mean to make it sound like that. My bad.
Some people might think it that way.
No,
If
Barry's kind soul.
the way it works is we ever go to a section like y'all always get Xbox priority. Like I just take up whatever's left over, and then if it comes to anything that looks like anime, I always get priority.
And
I would say,
do you have this? Do you have this?
I would say about 80% of the time I already have it, so it ends up working out.
Slow, like 90% of the time.
It's rewarding when you find something for Barry.
But the PS3 games are kind of, there's not a lot of them I'm looking for. I finally got Cross Edge, which is actually a crossover game with, I think, who's all in it? Hold on a second. Darkstalkers is in it. Some Capcom properties, Falcom properties, like Prinny, the little penguin from Disgaea is in it. So it's a whole bunch of characters from multiple franchises that are in it. Because I brought it home and my partner was like, "Isn't that the cat girl from Darkstalkers?" And I'm like, "Nah." They're like, Morgan? And I'm like, I honestly haven't played Darkstalkers. I don't know. So I pulled the book out and it literally I was like, oh. So I wasn't actually aware what this game was. I just saw the cover and said I needed it. I'll be transparent. Another one's Class of Heroes 2G. And then the really interesting one I picked up was Dot Hack versus the World Edition. And so this is a Japanese only release. It was Dot Hack Versus was a fighting game for the Dot Hack universe. It only came out in Japan. And this box set also included the movie, as well as like an art book, the script from the movie. Unfortunately, everything is in Japanese. There's no subtitles for it, but it still plays on a PlayStation 3 because they're region free. So it is an exclusive Dot Hack game to Japan. I think I picked it up for like $35. I saw what they were going for online, and I was like, I'd be dumb not to walk out of here with this.
Yeah, we had like people staring at it as we were getting out of the case.
I literally walked up to the guy and was like, because right under it, they had Dot Hack Quarantine. And I was like, I don't need that. I already have that one. I'm not even looking at that. Like, whatever. Other people are like, oh, Dot Hack Quarantine. I'm like, whatever. Not even on my radar. So I walked up to the front. I said, hey, there's something in the case I want to get. He's like, okay. So he goes over there. He's like, what do you want? I said, that Dot Hack box set up there. And I just hear from behind me, Dot Hack! I love Dot Hack. And I just feel these two bodies just like come up from behind me and just like breathe, like open mouth breathe on me. And I'm just like, please just get it out of here. And they're like, Dot Hack? Oh, that's one of my favorite games. I really want what is that? What is that? And I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. But
I almost hissed. I almost did that.
And with the
I was
Molina.
just like, man,
I don't mind being
please.
social people. Man, it was like it was invasive.
It was the invasive social kind where I was like, how long has it been since you've touched grass?
Showered.
one of those
That was
kind.
mean. I'm sorry.
So it was one of those, and I'm just like, let me get out of here, please, because I don't have the mental capacity to talk to anybody about .hack today. Like, you have to be ready to talk about that game. That game isn't a game that you just kind of talk about. And I was like, no, I don't want to talk about .hack. I want to buy this and like get out of here. So I picked that up. But the big one, as far as what I've been playing, I don't remember if I mentioned it. I finished Immortals Phoenix Rising. I think I ended that one on like 45 hours. Maybe it was more. Something like that. I did everything. Everything there was to do in that game, I platinumed it. I don't usually do that. I started Harvestella because I didn't want to start anything too intensive before Final Fantasy. Then I played Final Fantasy 16. I no-lifed it. I beat the game. 53 hours. I did everything except the time trials. And I do have to, what was this? How many days ago was this? 5 days ago I beat this on Wednesday. So I beat it before it was even out for like a week, and that's just how I play Final Fantasy games. I don't care. Like, some people are like, oh, if you beat this game already, like, you don't have a life. And I'm like, no, I don't.
Bro, that's your shit though. Like, you
like
took
I took off work to play it. Like, no. I did what y'all Zelda people do. It's
exactly.
fine. It's fine. I don't do this every single day of my life, but all I can say, and it's really hard to talk about this game without spoiling it. It's extremely difficult, but it is probably my favorite Final Fantasy mainline title game.
Let's go.
Clive is the best protagonist the series has ever had, in my opinion. The voice acting's the best. One of the best, if not the best. The voice acting is incredible. Especially with the main character and another character that I can't really mention without spoiling too much at all. But I think I only have a couple problems with this game, and I'll say them because they don't have anything to do with the story or whatever, and I talked with Nate a little bit about it because I knew he wanted to go into it blind.
I went in completely blind. I didn't know it was mature till I was picking it up, like literally.
You have blinded yourself completely to this game, and I don't want to ruin it for you.
It's kind of impressive. I don't know how I did that.
This is a game that I wish I could experience again for the first time. Like, it was just, the ending was superb. Oh wow, that ending. But one thing I have a problem with it, I do agree with a lot of people saying about, let's just say, majority of the internet, I disagree with. I think they're very shallow in their regards for this game, to be honest. But one thing I agree with is there's no elemental properties of anything. I think that's an oversight. So, like, for example, you have all of these abilities that you can use, and there's, like, lightning, there's ice, there's fire, there's light and darkness, and there are no elemental properties for when you use those. So, normally in Final Fantasy, when you attack a fire bomb with a fire, you heal it and you make it bigger. But in this game, you still damage it. So, there's an oversight with that, which it didn't ruin my experience, but I noticed it and was like, oh man, there's no debuffs, there's no poison or slow. There are some attacks from a few enemies where if you walk in the puddle, your character movement will slow down, but there's not really stun. You can fall down, and it takes a second for your character to recover, and there's a skill that you can get that's okay, you don't even have to worry about slow recovery anymore. I was like, okay.
There's a skill where you can cancel staggers. Is that what you're saying?
No, so say knockdown. Okay. So say you get hit by an enemy and it knocks your character down on the ground. It takes a second for him to stand back up.
Sorry.
And there is a skill that you can just hit a button and he recovers really quickly. So it kind of eliminates the animation at all. So that's really about it as far as that. Other than that, it's very hack and slashy, but people don't like the action combo. I like it. I think there's a lot of variety into it. I barely scraped the surface of it. This game basically, once you beat the game, you get New Game Plus, and they call it Final Fantasy mode. And the enemies are more difficult. The level cap's doubled. There are secret enemies. There's different enemies. They're harder. They have different mechanics or whatever. So it's kind of more of a difficult, challenging game. But they make you go through the game initially as there's no easy mode. There's no hard mode. You can put the bracelets on or whatever, because some people I get it. Some people aren't into action games. They're not really good at them. There's a lot of people who are saying, I'm already struggling with the combos. And then you've got the other people who are saying this is way too easy. The game is pretty easy, I will say that. I died maybe 2 or 3 times, and that was because I just wasn't paying attention to a monster that could one-shot you. I was like, oh, I know what this move is, and then I didn't get out of the way in time, and I said, wow, that was stupid. But it's not difficult by any means. But I don't think that's a problem. Like, I like it this way. This is a mainline Final Fantasy game. They are trying to appease to a large audience, and they don't want to scare people away from playing this game. If you make it too difficult, people aren't going to want to play it. That's the problem with Dark Souls. The game's too hard. A lot of people don't want to play the game. So I think this was a good choice. If you're complaining that it's not hard, there is a hard mode for you. And they did the exact same thing in Final Fantasy VII Remake. And a lot of my problems with what they're doing on the internet is they're applauding other games for the exact same thing that 16's been doing, but then they're damning it for it. So example, like they're like, oh, I have to play this whole game before I can get access to a hard mode. I said, yeah, you applauded Final Fantasy VII for doing that. We didn't get hard mode till you beat the game.
Yep.
Or another one is the side quests, okay? People are saying the side quests are too slow, they're too boring. The way this game functions is it is high, the highs are high, and then, dude, there's so many of them too. Like, there's so many. I texted you guys, I was like, bro, I feel like I'm playing the final boss fight, and I'm not even close. Like, when they go all out in the fights, like, they go all out. And it is an experience to be had, but you can't have a game go 0 to 100 and stay at 100. You just can't do it. So what the side quests do is, the structure of this game is you have this great big battle, you go back, you do some little side quests or whatever, and that's like your time to cool down. Where you go, I just had this huge boss fight, I need to chill out for a second, I need to decompress what just happened, I need to like figure out how I feel about what I just experienced, do some little things here and there. And the biggest, I don't want to take up too much time, I'm sorry, but
That's a big one for the podcast, though. Like, this is a game we've all been looking for.
It's your shit. Go ahead.
the biggest gripe, not the gripe, okay, the biggest metaphor example. The biggest example I've been hearing people say is, okay, well, Clive just fought basically a god, and then now immediately after I have to go pick up dirt for someone. They're like, that's above his, he has to be doing more important things than that. That's above him. And I'm like, then you don't understand Clive as a character. I'm sorry.
I'll chip in for a second. I'm an hour into this game. I started this morning, and you can tell already, like, the opening hour, because he's like royalty to a degree, and he's already, like, people are like basically like bowing to him, and he's like, kind of like, stop, please, I'm just a dude.
Right, he's the king's son.
So I could tell from an hour into this game already that,
Right.
like, he doesn't care that he's important. So, like, yeah, he doesn't care if he has to help you pick dirt. He's trying to help everyone out.
Right, Clive
I'm an hour into it, and I can figure this out. Like, I don't know why people are complaining about it.
He's this character that has been given this ability, this special ability that nobody else has, so only he can do things, right? But there's also things he cannot do. And that's the kind of pull and push. You know, another point is, oh, there's no party. I said, okay, well, the party in this game doesn't have to be like 7. Yeah, Final Fantasy is kind of known for their unique character parties, and where this does lack individual unique characters for people to love. Like, you know, you've got 7, people are like, oh, I love Tifa, I love Barret, I love Vincent. Or you got 8 where they're like, oh, I love Zell, I don't know why you would love Zell, but he's there. You got 9 where they're like, there's just so many characters that, you know, they fight with you, but the point of this game is it is set very realistically with like a fantasy flair on it. Like the world, the foundation is based in a reality, and so the party in this game is not who fights with you on the battlefield, but who fights with you off of the battlefield. This isn't just about 4 characters trying to save the world. This is a whole movement. This isn't just Clive. It's Clive, and it's the shopkeeper, and it's the armorer, and it's the guy who's basically running the whole, I don't know, little society they've got. What these people are trying to do in this world is shunned and looked down upon and hated by the rest of the society. They're trying to break the society system down at its core, and so they're ostracized by everybody else. So what all these people are trying to do is band together in a small minority and fight against what they are thinking is right and wrong. I'm trying to be really vague about it, I'm sorry. But the point is like Clive's not an engineer. He can't build things. He's got these powers where he could fight pretty, you know, heavy monsters, but like he can't build things. He can't figure out how to swindle merchants into getting good deals for this. He can't make armor, so like he has to support those people who are supporting the cause that he's leading, essentially. And like, so why wouldn't he go get dirt? Like if your engineer came up to you and was like, "Look, man, this dirt is in a dangerous area and I really need it to make whatever I'm making. Can you go make sure you can get it for me?" Yeah, he's going to say yes. Like that I don't understand why people think this is above him. Like this whole character is like he wants everyone to be treated equal. He doesn't care that he's a king's son and a dominant. He wants everyone to be treated equal, and he treats everyone just as equally.
And without spoilers, which is, like I said, I'm only an hour in, but it's already piecing stuff together based on what you're saying, where it's like the expectations that were set on him weren't met, and he's like basically been ostracized for it by even his own...
By birth.
Yeah. Like, your mom's a bitch in this game. I throw it out there really
Bro.
quick. I'm an hour in, I'm like, fuck this bitch. And we're not trying to cuss, but like...
I mean, okay, the general basis is Clive is the firstborn of this kingdom, and the way that it works is the dominant is Phoenix. I mean, this is kind of shown in the general stuff. You see it. His little brother's name is Joshua. Joshua ends up, that's who the Phoenix chooses. He skips over the firstborn son, picks the secondborn son. And so Clive's mother basically believes he is a stain on the family bloodline, worthless, garbage, doesn't deserve to live, is pretty much nothing better than a foot soldier, if that, and trash. So, like, he's already hated by his own mother just because the Phoenix didn't choose him as a dominant. That's it.
Yeah, but it's like the point with that was like he's not going to think of himself any more important, because basically how he views like the relationship with your dad, who's like the king or whatever in the beginning, it's like they're very different when you're not set with expectations. Like, you're just a guy, you're my dad, you're not. So for people to get riled up about, oh, he's too important, like that's like very early in this game. It's like, this is an important character trait that's going to shape this character.
Right.
So it's funny to me people are like not.
I mean, his entire
58 minutes in,
his entire
like,
character is
okay.
built on service.
Yeah.
Like, he is like Joshua's shield. Like, the shield of the Phoenix is him. He was blessed with the powers of the Phoenix to protect the Phoenix as a soldier. Like, he's the shield. His whole mentality is to build to serve.
Yeah.
And so I don't understand why people are saying this man's more important than picking up dirt. And I think that is a very
Odd critique.
shallow critique of this. And the party system too. Like, they're like, oh, there's no unique characters. It's basically just Clive and like two other people. And I'm like, the side quests are slow because it gives you a chance to chill out from this huge climactic, crazy Asura's Wrath style battle that you just had. Dude, I remember like at one point in the game, I had to put the controller down and be like, bro, this is a boss rush. Like, I'm exhausted. I am tired. I want to get through this. And then once it was done, I was like, oh my God, thank you, side quests. Like, I can just go and talk to people, and like, you're not going to get an experience of the side quests are going to be boring and slow if you're clicking through the freaking dialogue. I'm sorry. Like, if you're not sitting there and reading it at I click through them when I read, because I read very quickly. So sometimes I do want the voice actors to play out the whole scene, but sometimes I'm like, okay, like, I've read this much faster than you're speaking. I will click through it, but I'm still like, what's the word?
Processing it.
I'm invested in what the story is trying to tell, and the stories in the side quests are really good. Like, should be included in the main story. They're very good stories. They give backstories to characters that you wouldn't have thought would have had backstories, but they're fully fleshed out, have their own desires, have their own dreams, and like, the game is pointing to like, it's not just about one person and their drive for the world to change. It's all these people coming together and all of their reasons coming together and doing it, and you're learning about these people who are helping you. Like, he would be no better than anybody else in the game as a king if they don't treat the people who work for them just as equally. And that's the point. And people are missing that point.
We'll wrap this up here soon, but two things I want to piggyback on. You brought up earlier games that other people praised for doing the exact same thing that this one's getting criticized for. You and I were talking about Witcher 3. Mm-hmm. Part of the heaps of praise were the side quests that were kind of slow, that helped build the world that you lived in. Mm-hmm. This game did the same thing. It's getting crucified for it.
I mean, Witcher's quests were fetch quests and kill a monster, and that's exactly what these are. And that's my point. Like, exactly that point is people are too worried about comparing games to other games, but when they do, they don't see the hypocrisy in it.
Do it this exactly.
They don't see it. I'm just like, you guys are going to complain about how slow and boring the side quests are and how they're all fetch quests, but you love the Xenoblade Chronicles ones. Oh my God, those are all fetch quests. I did them all. There was
Oof.
nothing to it. I did them all though.
This might be a hot take, but do you think it has anything to do with the Final Fantasy fandom in general being slightly toxic?
Slightly is a understatement.
I'm trying to be respectful, man.
No, there's honestly like they're not being respectful, so I won't be at this
And
point.
honestly, though, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, I at this point, I can't interact with the online community for Final Fantasy. They're way too far gone.
I think part of it's a certain age demographic too, because it's not just Final Fantasy. It's in almost every fandom where if it's not identically what we grew up or what we played when we were your age or whatever, I'm speaking in like terms, not necessarily me, then it's automatically trash. There's automatically something wrong with it. Like, yeah, this game takes some departures, but it's to appease a wider audience, and not appease is the wrong word. See, I'm even using the wrong word. It's to include more people.
Yeah, that's
Here's
a good word.
The dumbest thing about that is like that's what Final Fantasy is. Like all the standalone games, there's chocobos, there's magic.
It has
there's
themes,
but they're different. They're all different. Like
Yeah.
that's the point of the damn franchise. And it's like this one's getting murdered for it. I'm like, I didn't know there wasn't parties, but I'm like, you know what? We talked about the bar.
The ATB bar.
Yeah, they brought
So,
that.
yeah,
People were,
so-
oh, this is not Final Fantasy. Now it's like
So we were talking about like how 9 or 10 was the last one that was really like kind of traditional quote unquote turn based, and then 11 was MMO, 12 was MMO single player style where you have like your little troop and then you move them to a certain point and then use a certain attack, and people are like, this is hot garbage. They didn't like it. They wanted a Final Fantasy 11 experience but in a single player field, and that's what 12 is. And then 13 came out and they were like, okay, we got rid of the weird MMO move around, whatever. You know what? People love the MMO fight in Xenoblade Chronicles, but let's not talk about that. But anyways, in 13, they were like, okay, well, we're going to have a hack and slash, but there's an ATB bar and you have to wait for the ATB bar circle to fill up before you can use an ability. It's still time-based, and people are like, this is hot garbage. And now we got Final Fantasy 16, and people are saying, well, if it's not turn-based, if they don't have my ATB bar, then I quit. And I'm like, you guys were complaining about the ATB bars 2 gens ago.
that's the thing.
Like, you cannot be happy.
I would say from somebody who's the least invested in the turn-based stuff, maybe go in with zero expectations, because Barry, I'll be blunt, a lot of the games that you've picked for this podcast, I've gone in and been like, I don't know if I'm going to like this, but I'm like, I'm going to give it a try. And I've loved every single one of them. Like, and I'm not a turn-based guy. Broaden your horizons a little bit. Go in with no expectations. Accept art for what it is. It's art. You're going to have an experience. Enjoy it.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm barely into this game, and I'm ready to like sit here and pull up a shield and be like, "How y'all attacking this game?" Because like, obviously my thoughts are completely different an hour into it, but like, this game is beautiful. Like I can tell it's going to be epic, which I feel like that word gets used a little too much, but like, it's crazy, and it's like this is the game I've been looking forward to on my PS5. Like I don't.
Yeah.
This was when I was like, let's go. I've been waiting for this game for a long time. And obviously, like, you know, having a co-host podcast sit here and bounce stuff off of once I play it. Sorry I didn't get it beat in a week, but
It's fine. That's my thing, not yours.
I can't wait to like sit here and figure out things. And like, I love how the narrative is being like breadcrumbed out for you. It's not dropping you in the world, and like you're gonna have to kind of figure out with it. And especially, I think I'm getting a unique experience going in completely blind, where it's Dune-esque, where it's using terms of like the world that you're supposed to act like you know already, which I enjoy that kind of shit. So.
But they don't not explain it at the same time, but they explain it through the storytelling. This is exactly why the side quests are in there. Because like if you want to learn more about the world and more specifics about it, you do the side quests and you know, read it, please.
Yeah.
Don't just skip through the freaking dialogue.
It's
You don't really get great rewards. The reward is the story building. And I'm sorry, if you don't like cinematic games or heavy story-based games, you won't like this one.
I'll take that over exhibition every day. Like, don't just sit there and hold my hand. Like, let me learn for myself in a manner that makes sense.
You know what's great about this is there's no dumb text you have to read and to get more lore.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some, but it's not like Elder Scrolls, where you have to make a freaking entire library to read anything. There's none of that in here. There's a couple things here and there, but like to get the lore of the world, you don't need to read baseless text everywhere.
For an action game, that's a good choice. Yeah.
So
I'm excited to play it. Honestly, like I said, I'm the filthy casual of the bunch, and this one looks the most up my alley. Like, I'm excited for this game.
it is the most Final Fantasy game I've ever played.
Bet.
Oh
It's high
my.
praise coming from you.
Oof. Them fights,
I'm excited for it.
all the icon designs are the best they've ever been.
my wife does not care about video games at all. But I had this on, and she's like, "What is this?" Because it just looks so crazy. It looks next gen. Like
They did so many things in this game that Square Enix has shied away from, to be honest. And people have some things to say about some things, but like you've got your first basically gay character, gay confirmed couple in Final Fantasy, which people have been begging for years. That's in it. And you have a protagonist that's like also he's allowed to be stoic, but he's not afraid to show his emotions at the same time. Like, if you compare him to, like, Cloud, right? Cloud is very, like, stone face. He doesn't really like showing how he feels about stuff, especially in the remake.
Yeah.
Tifa and Aerith will try and prod at him, and he's like, and he turns away or whatever. He's very, like, shy almost. Clive ain't afraid to cry, bro. And it's nice. It's a nice, refreshing, like, thing to see, like, your main character can do all these things, but he's not perfect. And he struggles with himself at the same time. So I think the writing in this game is amazing. Oh, the ending was so good. I don't care what anybody says. It's an ambiguous ending. I love it.
I love ambiguous endings.
Oh, man, it's so good. I said, somebody asked me what I'd give it a score. I said a 9.8, bro. I don't like scores. But a 9.8. I can't give it a 10 because the elemental thing is kind of a big kind of slap in the face, to be honest. But
My thing is, I know how much you love Final Fantasy VII, and to sit there and be like, yeah, this is, up there.
it's
Better.
7 has the best unique cast of characters.
Yeah.
Unique cast of characters. But 16's story is so good. So good.
It's awesome.
Oh, man. Anyways. That's all I'll say
Let's
about
get
this
this
game.
recorded so I can go home and play it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But that's what I've been playing.
But we play our games, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Talk about games we had, mid expectations for, kind of lukewarm, but I want to give this a shot. Ended up being really pleasantly surprised with it. There was one game that kind of sparked this topic that we went ahead and said we want to talk about it.
Do I want to say it on the count of 3? 1, 2, 3, Fortnite.
Yeah, so I'm okay with being wrong, and sometimes you get pleasantly surprised when you play a game, and it's completely different than what you expected. And you can look into something, and even you formulate your own opinion. It's good to keep you on your toes, and I don't mind being wrong. That's why I was really excited to talk about this episode. So
I mean, especially when it benefits you, right? Like, how many hours have all of us sunk into this goddamn game now? And think about it, man. Like,
I don't want to look. My PlayStation will tell me.
So from my perspective, the reason why I was so reluctant to even start playing this shit is because we were such like a heavy PUBG crew. Like, I sunk days,
R.I.P.
months,
PUBG.
weeks
Yeah.
of my life in the PUBG. Like, at one point, my life revolved around PUBG. Like, fuck it. And this was like the main competitor, right? The argument was that like they stole the idea for the Battle Royale from PUBG. Which,
I bought an Xbox One just to play PUBG with you guys because
Yeah.
you guys begged, and I was like, fine, I'm not into Battle Royale. So I bought an Xbox One just to play PUBG.
yeah.
That was it.
Like, we played pub more than any. I mean, that's what I did in my free time was play PUBG. From like literally the day it came out on Xbox to, God, I don't even know when. Even now and then, I'll fire it up every now and then and just be like, memories, and that's about where it stops because it's dog shit.
The fucker loads.
Right. Yeah. That's the thing, though. Like, this was the main competitor that kind of stole everything. It was like the more goofy version of it, because that's what my biggest thing for this. Because without playing it and just looking at it, I came from PUBG where it's like, oh, you got to hide in the bushes and be camo and use tactics. And this is like, throw the L up on your forehead and dance.
Bro,
And it was
okay,
like,
look.
the
And
fucking
then,
floss, like, ugh.
and then you got kids being like, it's Fortnite. And, I'm just like, all right.
And you got,
For the
Mom,
record, I'm not a big fan
Mom.
of kids, okay?
I need V-Bucks.
For a
let's
lot
just
of-
go ahead and say it. The podcast is not a big fan of kids.
Even though both of you guys are with people who have kids.
They ain't
Yeah,
my
but-
kids, to be clear.
Are they from my seed?
Oh, God. But you
And
just,
even
you
then,
know,
I
when
don't
a
like
kid
that shit
comes up,
either.
a kid comes up to you and screams Fortnite. I'm just like, oh my God, please. And then they're just like, they got the banana guy. And for the longest time, I was just like, man, in the building,
Yeah, exactly. The fact that it started out as like a tower defense game, and now it's this mega.
bro, nobody
opolis.
even plays tower defense
Yeah.
anymore. It's all no builds.
I will quickly share my story about what instantly turned me off to Fortnite. Barry and I were working at a local game store, and I was pretty new still. And I remember I was trying to clean up the PS4 section, and we had a copy of the Fortnite disc. And this kid came over and said, "Oh, sweet Fortnite!" And so starts flossing and knocking over all these PS4 games. And I'm just staring there there was a ton of PS4 games there, and I'm like, I just wasted a whole hour and a half of my life, and I'm watching this kid just floss in the aisle. Like, Barry and I weren't super close yet, but we were working together. She's like, hey, get used to that. And I was like, what? And I'm like, what? Because I have heard of it, but I didn't pay any attention. I thought it was strictly a kid's game. I didn't know it was actually not even built originally as a kid's game or anything. I kind of remember when it came out, because Epic Games, I knew him from Unreal, so I was like, this doesn't look like that. I'm not really interested.
Dude, I was getting ready to say and not cut you off, but that's another thing for me. It was like this was the guys that stopped making Gears of War and Unreal stopped making, and I love Gears, but for them to be like, nah, man, let's get some dancing in there.
I don't know anything about Epic. Like I at the time I wasn't really like into publishers so much that was outside, fucking Square, but they're just like Epic, and I'm like, okay, well, Epic makes all their money off fucking Unreal. Like, they don't really need to do much, so I always saw Fortnite as like, we're just gonna do whatever we want in this game. It makes them a lot of money, but I always just like, they're known for Unreal Engine. They could do whatever the hell else they want to, and then still make their money off Unreal Engine.
Yeah, so we're apparently just diving in this first one.
Yeah.
Barry, since you were the first one to start playing it, and you were the one that kind of convinced me to start playing it,
Okay,
share your experience.
I
That was the last holdout.
I don't remember exactly how I switched or how my okay. So shout out to Kyle.
Big shout out to Kyle. He got me
Shout
on
out
this
to
too.
Kyle.
Yeah.
He's the one that really suggests a lot of games that I don't really play, and then I play them. I'm like, damn, this game's good. So shout out to you, Kyle, if you're listening to this. But he was like, hey, I know you guys are into battle royale games. He's like, you should try Fortnite. And I'm like, bro, I don't know about Fortnite, man. He goes, no, because he was still living in the state at the time. He moved across the country. Obviously, still stay in touch. But he was like, hey, man, we were at work. He's like, you got to try this game. He's like, it's free. And I'm like, okay, it's free. I'll play with you. And then the current Battle Pass season ended in like 4 days. He's like, look, you could play the game for free, but if you buy the Battle Pass for $10, you automatically get the Mandalorian. I was like, oh, fuck a Mandalorian? I was like, I speak in my language now. I was like, okay, well, because free-to-play games, I usually don't spend too much money. I'll toss a little bit here if I like it. Like, my intention was like, I don't really care so much about the skins. I'll pay $10. The game's for free. I get Mandalorian skin. That's cool. I know, whatever. I'm probably not going to play this for a while. Little did I know. But started playing it, and he was like, this is the most polished battle royale game I've ever played. And I was like, really? And like, for him to say that is high praise. So I was like, okay. So we started playing it, and I was like, damn, this game is good. I was like, oh no. The battle pass ended in 4 days. That's when the Predator was there. And like, they had the events where Predator would be in a little section, and like, it almost looked like a prison, and it would be the jungle in there, and you have to go in there and kill him, and you could get like the invisibility shit and whatnot. I got the Predator skin out of, I don't know how I got it.
Lucky.
I just was playing the game. I was like, you got the Predator skin. I think you just had to beat him and pick up his weapon.
I didn't have the pass because I didn't buy the pass. I thought I'd get the skin, and I didn't because I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
I only got the battle pass because of Mandalorian.
I had like 4 hours left on the battle pass when I started playing. So
It's my punishment for holding out one of my all-time favorite movies, Predator. I don't have them.
After that, I was like, okay, it plays up to 4. Like, you guys should play it. It's free. And then after that, I don't remember what battle. Do you guys remember the battle pass after that one?
no, it's just I've put so much time into it, it all like blurs together.
Yeah, I don't remember which one was after that, but I feel like there was something there for you guys to be like, oh shit, I
Tomb
want
Raider
that.
was like the first one where I started.
No, the second one had Raven.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's what
you
it
guys
was.
were playing that before. Yeah,
So
I was after that. Yeah.
again, we're gonna just keep praising Kyle while we talk about Fortnite.
Yeah.
'Cause, like, Kyle did work on us because like I know you jumped on and like I remember getting in a group chat text like, "You should play Fortnite. It's really good." I kept seeing it, I'm like, man, I don't know. And Kyle was like, "I'll buy you the Captain America skin." I said, "The what?"
Oh, he did?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he gifted it to me.
Okay.
So I was like, "The what?" He's like, "Come on, man. Like I know you once you play it, like you'll sit here and play it with us." And I was like, "Oh God, fine." He spoke my language, bro. He
That homie bought you the Captain America
yeah, man.
skin.
Shout out. He gifted it to
Kyle
me.
didn't buy me it.
He knew I needed extra work.
Yeah, that's true. He just was like, I'll just say Mandalorian and Barry will buy it. I was like, yeah.
But yeah, man. So I ended up jumping in with you guys like towards the end. I think there's like a day left of the season pass when I started playing it. And he's like, "You want to go kill Predator?" I said, "Want to do what?" It's like, "Predator's in this game." He's like, "Dude, everything's in this game." So I was like, "All right, I'm gonna get my little skins, but I'm not gonna like stick with this. No way." And Barry's like, "Yes, you are." I said the same shit.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
Played the first round, and I was like, "Wow, this feels like a complete game." And like Brian talked about it, we had dumped weeks of our lives into PUBG, and it's like, I've been sitting here playing this game where you had to basically adapt to the brokenness of it, which is part of its charm, honestly. But I'm like, this game's like fluid. It looks great. I was like, it's gonna burn out though. Like, there's no way they can keep supporting this game. Well, here I am, years later, and it is like the
3
most
years later, 4
supported
years
game.
later, yeah.
I've never seen a single game supported like this, and you can log on every week, and there's shit to do.
And the crazy thing about Fortnite to me is like a lot of the issues I'm having with, like Destiny. Like, I just don't know what else to do. And yeah, like, battle royales are the same shit all the time, like, constantly, but the way we basically have adapted to it is, like, we'll look when the battle pass drops, we'll look to see if there's anything in that battle pass that we're interested in, and if there's not, we just kind of skip the season and play other stuff.
But I will speak to the quality of the game, and part of it's because we have, like, years of our lives into it at this point, but, like, they do so good a job of changing it up enough to where it still feels familiar, but it's new. And it's like...
It is the typical... Like, this is the pinnacle, I'm sorry, not typical, pinnacle for what a live service game should be.
Everything a live service game should be. It's got a huge candle to hold up to Fortnite, because Fortnite is, like, so drastically better at keeping shit updated and moving.
And it's interesting because, like, the map is always changing, and it's always dynamic. The guns are the same. Like, they'll add new ones, and they'll vault old ones, but then they'll have special events where old ones come up. Like, the first season that we really got into it was the primal one or whatever, where they introduced the animals for the first time and the bows.
Bows are so sick.
And did we play the whole season with just bows? And then the next thing you know, the next season got rid of them. We were like, no. And then, I don't know, a couple months later, they were like, hey, bows are back for X amount of time.
That's the thing.
The bows.
Specifically with this game, man. It's like, they'll get you with something that you like being in it. Because if you can think of it, it's pretty much been in Fortnite. Like, and if not, it's probably on the way. They're probably working on the licensing deal for it. And
there was a long time where I think it really just got horribly. I mean, it was already really big because of the implementation of superheroes. Because Marvel had been in it for a while. There was a couple. They don't do it so much anymore, but there was quite a few characters like Doom and I think Wolverine that were in the Battle Pass.
Yeah, that one hurts my soul. I was not playing it yet, and like. I was
looking
like,
back.
Fuck
this game, bro.
Yeah.
There's no Spider-Man anyway.
And there's a couple in the Battle Pass, but like for the most part, like they're in the store, so they'll still give you some options to be like, okay, I'll just buy it when it's in the store rotation. Yeah. But there wasn't anime in it. There were their original anime style, like cel shaded ones, and then they dropped anime for the first time, and people are like, holy shit! So now you got Naruto in there, you got Dragon Ball in there,
Avatar,
Attack on Titans this season. Avatar's not in there.
Are they gonna? I thought they were gonna do it.
Bro, you insider, you just spoiled it.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I don't know shit about anime.
You kidding me? You think you think they would let Airbender Aang touch a fucking gun? That's not happening.
You gotta delete this because they're gonna kill me. I was thinking of Naruto. My bad.
What did you say Avatar for?
Because I don't know shit about either one.
I'm not deleting that.
Whoa,
no, that's staying in. Oh shit! My Hero Academia is really big. Like.
Attack on Titan's in it.
And they got, like, they're not just little franchises that they get their little grippers on. Like, these are fucking huge. So, there's something for everybody in this game.
Like, every movie that comes out, there's going to be, like, a Fortnite tie-in.
Star Wars, Doom. They just put Witcher in.
And
I never thought that would fucking happen.
Yeah, they're
Doom
video games.
Fucking Doom.
Like, they have, console-exclusive stuff, so you can get that tribalism going, It's great. They have Horizon Zero Dawn exclusive skins for PlayStation, exclusive for Xbox, Black Master Chief. Like, they know their audience, man.
Bro, like, specifically, though, it's one thing that's like, okay, their skins are in the game, there's weapon skins. Dude, they have, like, events where you can sit there and, like, interact with the world of Fortnite, but with the twist. Like, the Witcher one, there was, like, Witcher quest and shit to do.
Oh, the community ones? I will say, as polished as this game is, the community playlists are pretty jank.
Yeah.
I think it's going to change here soon, though, with this new... like open source building.
Yeah, it's basically making it it's way easier to do stuff, and hopefully the connection on the community stuff works a little better.
Well, that's the thing, though. Oof. I think it's literally just the tip of the iceberg for Fortnite at this point. Like, once they start getting that kind of high asset shit in this, game changer.
The one last comment I want to make about Fortnite is...
Yeah, we could just sit here and talk about Fortnite all day.
These games that, like, outlive way past their life expectancy. Like, Counter-Strike's the one everyone kind of looks at. It's like, how are people still playing this game? I honestly think Fortnite has that potential to, like, just 2 console generations now, people still playing Fortnite.
The fact that we haven't got, like, a Fortnite 2 is what every other developer
would do. They don't need Fortnite 2, and that's the indicator, is they don't have the need.
Yep.
And because I think Epic has such experience with being an engine developer, they don't have a problem developing for their own engine.
Yeah.
And the fact that they just flawlessly applied Unreal Engine 5 to Fortnite. Look at this shit now,
it's beautiful.
Like, they don't have to worry about their code being so fucking old that they can't update it, which is the problem that Destiny's having right now, is it's so old that they're just like, we don't know what to do with this. So, Final Fantasy XIV's having the same issues too. Their code is so old that there's speculation they're going to be launching a whole new game next patch or whatever. But like you don't have that problem with Fortnite that you do with Overwatch, where you don't have
Right.
to worry. Or Warzone, for example,
Yeah.
like Warzone released the second
engine.
Warzone, whole new engine. You didn't get any of your shit crossover. So I think Epic is very aware of that and how much money and effort and people have put into their accounts. And if they ever made a Fortnite 2 and not being able to port all their shit over, people will be upset. So like, what's the point of making Fortnite 2 when they can just fix their systems from foundation, implement new engines, and still develop for it?
And the crazy part is, think about all the mechanics they've added since like when we first started playing.
Mhm.
They've actually made the game more modern as we've played it, which nobody else has done.
No.
I think Rainbow Six Siege is like the only other live service game where they've tried to keep up, but even then, like you're saying, it's showing its age now.
Big shout out to Kyle. Big shout out to Fortnite. It's the one that basically all three universally had on our list. Like, this is clearly going to be the header of this episode.
That's
and
my thing, dude. I was the last holdout, and now it's like
It's a great game.
every time
Now
we
Brian's texting me at freaking 10:30. They got Darth Maul in it now, and I
Bro.
said, "Focus."
I'll say this, I bet I've spent the most. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's the thing. And like, I was the one that was going to hate this game more than anything, but I wish I would have played it sooner. And every time we stop playing it, my biggest thing is I come back to is like, why we stop? Like, even like playing with Nate yesterday, I'm like, why we stop playing this? This is the best battle royale game there is.
Well, even then, it's not like Fortnite is the easiest live service game to take a break from and then
Yep.
come back to and not feel like you're
Absolutely.
behind. Because everything resets every single season. There's no real progress. Everything's based on a battle pass, so if you don't buy into it, you can still have a fine time. I think there's some free stuff you can get.
Did they invent the Battle Pass?
I don't know who did the battle pass
I was gonna
first.
say, I remember it being such a foreign concept, and that's why I don't have Predator and shit. Because I was like, "What the fuck is a battle pass?" Like, fuck.
If they didn't invent it, they were like the first really big game to like push it in there. And it's like, damn, they certainly perfected it though.
I don't know who started it, yeah. But I mean, like, on top of that, you've got events that you don't need the battle pass for. Like, I wasn't planning on playing this season. There's nothing in the past that I really wanted. The bonus, I'm not a big Attack on Titan fan, so I didn't care so much. And then they're like, oh, hey, we're doing a Star Wars event. And I'm like, fuck. Fuck. And I don't need that one I don't need the battle pass for. It's its own self-contained thing. So anybody can partake in that one. Even if you have a battle pass and you paid for it, you're still paying the same amount for the event special as everyone else. So like now I'm just playing just for that, and then I can pop off again. But like when the next season starts, I don't feel like I'm behind on power level, on progression for XYZ. I'm behind this person. I gotta catch up my gun collection because everything's just self-contained.
So
it's
genius.
the easiest game to jump in and jump out of and still have a good time.
Even when they change stuff, it's like, oh, I still know what I'm doing here.
Right.
Still Fortnite. And it's like, dude, hats off. Seriously. Like, what a fantastic game.
Give me 2 matches to figure out how to crouch again, but like that's really it.
They got me on a subscription, bro. That's all I'm saying. Like,
That's true. They have the subscription.
I'm still on that shit. I didn't even play this battle pass this season until the Star Wars stuff came out, but like, it's a good deal. You get just as many V-Bucks from buying that as you do. You get the season pass with it. And like, even if I have a little bank of V-Bucks in my account, I'm like, I know they're going to release something cool that I'm going to want. So
That's what I booted the game up.
crazy.
I literally haven't, because I think when I booted it up, it was like the last time we played was in February. And I loaded up. I said, shit, I almost got 3,000 V-Bucks sitting in here. Okay, boop. And I just bought my little thing and moved on.
Yep. So there's always something for you. And it might not be, this week, but 2 weeks down the road.
It's funny. I went from being like a very much like, I didn't go on my way to hate on this game, but I wanted to stay away from it because I was like, this is complete wrong perception. Now I'm like one of this game's biggest defenders. I'm like, well, have you actually played it if you're over here talking shit about it? Because it's a fantastic game. And like, there's a lot of developers that could look up to the quality of this game and be like, maybe you should try a little harder.
Agree. Hurtful. PUBG. That's what I'm saying, man. I made the switch. Like, I can't recommend this game
Warzone.
enough. Yeah, seriously. I can't recommend Fortnite enough. If you just want to have fun and you want like the most polished, the best battle royale, it's definitely Fortnite. It's really hard to argue against that.
Thanks, Kyle.
Yeah, thank you.
What about another game?
I have one recently, actually. I saved it from talking about games we've been playing because I knew it would come up in this episode. Bug Snacks. So it was a launch PS5 game. And
You thought you weren't going to like that game?
yeah, man, because here's the thing. Like, I just dropped the money on this PS5, and I'm like, this is the kind of shit we're going to be playing on PS5. Like, okay. But
I mean, it did come out with like Sackboy,
yeah,
so
yeah. But this game was great, man. Like, the story is really interesting. The characters are very developed. You get to learn so much about them. They're so unique. The world's interactive as hell, and it's completely different than anything you've played. I actually adore this game. Like, it was leaving Game Pass, And I wanted to get the achievements in it, so I was like, whatever, I'll just run through it. I slowed down by the end of it because I was like, I want to know more about these characters, want to know about this world. The whole loop of it is basically you go around and catch these bug snack creatures that like you eat, but you're not eating them yourself. The characters that you interact with that you're like rescuing to build this village up, they're the ones that eat it. But like, let's say they eat like a strawberry one, and you can pick like what part of their body you want to turn into a strawberry. And you're like, this is weird. Like, why are you doing this? But then when they're like, hey man, you haven't had one, you try one. You end up eating a bug snack and it like poisons you, and you're like, hey, that wasn't good. Like, what's going on? And the game takes like a weird dark turn where it's almost like
Don't give you spoilers.
Yeah, no,
I want to play this game.
I won't go too much into it.
Bugsnax is on my backlog list. Like everybody that I've heard who's played this game loves this game.
It's a solid 8.5 or an 8 out of 10. Like,
and like PlayStation gave it out for free, so I have it. So
Definitely
I'm just like, hell, like it's on my list.
I'm gonna say this: I've already played it. There's not a physical version of Xbox. I'm gonna buy the PS5 physical version. Like this game.
Oh, they have a PS5 physical version?
I think so. I think it was a launch game for PS5, wasn't it?
I don't know. I just know they gave it for me on the Game of the Month thing once.
However you can play it. It's a great game.
There is a physical for PS5, Switch.
Switch?
Oh, yeah, I knew it was on
PS4.
Switch.
I want the PS5 version. But yeah, I can't recommend this game enough. I thought it would be something not up my alley, just like looking at it, like the cartoony aesthetics. But like, man, the story, you really end up caring about some of these characters by the end of the game. And it kind of kept me on my toes. Like I said, I really slowed down and was like, all right, enough of the speedrun. I want to learn more about these characters, learn more about the world. And it gets like surprisingly dark towards the end, which I didn't expect at all. And then Sherry, she played it before me and she was like, yeah, like you weren't prepared for that, huh? And I was like, no, I really wasn't. It definitely is unique. There's nothing else like it. Even like the catching mechanics and everything. Just from a gameplay, I thought that would be kind of boring. Like, I want to catch bugs. Like, I did that when I was a kid, bro. I'm good. No, like, every bug's completely different. The bugs have completely different personalities. Like, the charm of this game is just off the charts. Can't say enough about it.
It's the same studio that made Octodad, which also is a game I've always wanted to play.
I haven't played Octodad.
I haven't.
You know of it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks so... It's the thing with independent studios, like, they make unique games, man. They make unique little experiences that, like, would never get through the AAA fucking water, so...
I have some, and I think Nate may agree with me on this one in a weird way. We'll see what Brian. But for the longest time, I was very against Mario and Zelda. It's funny coming from me. You'd think I'd like Zelda. But I was just always like, man, Mario shit looks all the same. Zelda looks all the same guy, it's a little sword running around. And it had some people, Kyle, shout out to Kyle.
Again, thank you, Kyle.
He was like, oh, Ocarina of Time is one of my favorite games. I'm like, I played that one on the 3DS, and I think I have more an appreciation for Zelda. It's not, that one like wasn't super my jam. I don't know, just the amount of praise Ocarina of Time got.
Yeah, people, like, it's pretty much on top of everyone's greatest game of all time list.
Right, like, Zelda people is just like, no hate, but like, Zelda is just, I'm just like, y'all, Zelda fanboy. Is the fanboy specifically, not Zelda fans, a Zelda fanboy. So, I had someone say, look, Wind Waker is one of the best ones. And I said, okay, this one looks cute, this one looks different. I played Wind Waker, and like, I had so much fun playing Wind Waker, incredible fun. Ended up playing The Link's Awakening for the Switch, and I surprisingly really loved that one. So, like, I like Zelda so much more now. I'm not going to go off and die on a hill for Zelda, but I did go into it just kind of shitting on Zelda. Mario's the same way. I'm still not, like, too convinced on Mario, but Mario Party is so much more fun than I thought it was going to be. Luigi's Mansion is so much more fun than I thought it was going to be. So, those are my two big ones as far as franchises that, like, for a while, I was like, I'm not going to play these. I'm not playing Super Mario Galaxy. Forget it. I'm not even going to look at it. I'm not looking at Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess, I'm not excited to play. I don't know if I will. It looks ugly. It's dirty.
Which system, Wii U for you? Something you're playing on?
I have it on the Wii U, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The game doesn't excite me for that reason that I don't like a lot of other games. It's brown, it's green, it's gray. It's just kind of dirty and muddy looking the whole time, so...
I'll back you up a little bit on the Zelda train. Like, a little different than you, because I grew up playing the 2D ones and just adored them. Like, Link's Awakening on Switch is a remake of the
Game Boy one.
Yeah.
Which is like, me and Brian played that game a lot as kids. It's fantastic. Played the Super Nintendo one, Link to the Past, like,
I watched my mom playing that growing up.
One of my favorite
Yeah.
16-bit games, let alone Super Nintendo games. Like, it is a masterpiece. I even like Zelda 2. Fight Me. It's a great game for Nintendo. It's hard.
Great to stretch, but it takes
No,
unnecessary
it's a great
flack.
game, dude. Like, the unique thing with the Zelda games, they're all really different mechanically and stuff. And especially since they got to the 3D, like, they've kept it. Each one feels very unique and like its own thing. Like, now to back you up on Ocarina of Time, I don't get it. I don't get it because Mario 64.
Team Majora's Mask all the way. Fuck it, I'll
Right.
say it.
Me and Brian were talking about this lately. It's
Well,
like
Ocarina came out first.
right.
Yeah.
But
Everyone shits on Majora's Mask,
like,
though.
obviously, when it came out, it was a huge like technological marvel. I do understand that. I feel like it took what Mario 64 did to a little more detailed. Like, I love Mario 64. I'll sit there and die on a hill for that game too. But Majora's Mask is like a fucking masterpiece, and it gets like lost in the shuffle because of the hype for Ocarina, which made me like inadvertently like raise my lip and curl at Ocarina like, ugh, this game. Because like Majora's Mask is so good. I'll sit there and die on the hill of Majora's Mask all day. Like, I didn't have a 64 growing up. Our best friend did. And we go over there and I'm like, what do you guys want to play? I'm like, go away. We're playing Majora's Mask, bro. Like, but yeah, so I'm never really going to say like I don't like Zelda, but I've had it built in, especially since the 3D ones, because Barry said it. The fan base is a very proud fan base, and they're very vocal about they don't care about your opinion. But yeah, I haven't played Breath of the Wild, which I know is crazy, but
It's great.
yeah, I know Brian really enjoyed
Doesn't
it.
feel like
I
past
know
Zelda games, those why.
had a friend that played, well, Kyle, we talked about him by name like 100 times this episode, but I know he had mixed feelings about it because he loves Zelda and it doesn't quite fit like a Zelda game.
And that's
I
probably
love
why
that.
I like it.
I wish Kyle was just here.
God,
as
I
a
wish,
special
bro.
guest.
I'm gonna fly
Like
you
Kyle,
out.
like I was talking to him and he said like, "Hey, this game I wasn't vibing with it," and then he's like, "I went back and replayed it and it's actually really good."
And see, like, I hope I had the same experience with Skyrim.
Because I think the problem is when Breath of the Wild came out, people had Zelda expectations for it instead of viewing it as a Breath of the Wild expectation. So there was a big divide because there's like not traditional Zelda dungeons.
Right. I think that's why I
So-
enjoyed it, because it doesn't feel like a traditional Zelda game.
Which, like, Nintendo's never been afraid to experiment with Zelda, which I'll give them tons of credit for. Like, they have this golden goose. They could just do the same thing forever and make 1000000000s of dollars. And they're like, no, we're going to change it up. So, like, even Mario, to a degree, to kind of piggyback on your Mario conversation, Mario's evolved, like, a ton. And it could have played it safe. And nowadays, you have, like, your Mario makers where it can kind of feel a little more like traditional Mario. But Mario is a 3D open world game.
I don't really feel like Mario's had a 2D game in a while.
The Mario makers were kind of...
A while. That was Wii U.
Yeah, dude.
You know that meme where it's like you see like the Vietnam flashbacks and you realize you're old? Like, I was about to be like, that was like 5-6 years ago. I'm like, nah, dude, that was
No.
like 10 years. Like, holy shit.
I think they ported it to the Switch.
I think so.
But I mean that's still six fucking years ago.
Just like every Switch game, it's just a remake of a Wii U game.
Mario Odyssey, Luigi's Mansion, like that's kind of the style, like you said, that they're doing now. I don't really think they're doing a 2D Mario that I can think of.
Yeah, they didn't really like shut the door on it all the way. But that's the thing with Mario. There's so many different spin-offs and games, and it's like, even like Brian, you played Odyssey a little bit.
Loved it.
Yeah, and we grew up on Mario, so like
It's completely different than, like, even look at the evolution between 64 to Sunshine to Odyssey. They're completely different games.
See, and maybe that's part of the reason on why I just was just like, can everyone please stop talking about this? Because like I didn't have a 64, I didn't have a GameCube. Those
yeah,
weren't my consoles.
Same.
Because, you know, I'd like to have a console with an actual full library. So I was on PlayStation, all right? 64 and GameCube had nothing to offer. So I'm like, why am I over here? Because at that time, like, if you wanted a 64, you wanted a GameCube, it's because you already wanted Zelda.
Mario Zelda.
That was
yeah.
it. And I wasn't interested because that's just not what I grew up on. So I wanted Spyro and Crash Bandicoot and Final Fantasy. Like, that was all PlayStation.
Yeah,
So,
we didn't own one. Like our uncle had the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo. So
well,
like,
did you have someone that you knew that had
Yeah.
one that you played? I didn't have
we
that.
played it enough where it's like, damn, this is really cool, but we never had enough where we owned it. We did have a bootleg copy of Mario and DOS that we played a lot.
Yeah,
The first Mario.
I never had friends that played games, so like I didn't go to anybody's house and play their 64. So
Yeah, like we had a really cool setup as kids for a while, where the guy that lived at the right of us had Nintendo 64. We had the PlayStation, and then dude on the left was kind of a wild card. But we always tried to keep like, hey, which one are you getting for? All right, bet. So we'll get the other one. So like the whole block kind of had access to stuff. So, but yeah, that's like really how we experienced the 64 stuff, and it's weird because especially those franchises are like classics. So me and Brian kind of had appreciation for like the older ones, and once I went to 3D for a while, it's kind of like, eh. But God, they aged gracefully, man. Like a lot of them really did. But yeah, definitely, it's funny how you can sit there and have a perception based on something because not because the actual property itself, because the fan base is so like nauseating.
Rabid.
It can like turn you off from it. Like it's very an interesting facet.
I think aesthetics are a big one for me too, especially when it's something so drastic, like the PUBG to Fortnite example, or even like you're saying, like when Wind Waker came out. I remember there was a huge pushback because it's like, what the fuck's up with these graphics?
People are really upset with that.
Now people love it. Yeah,
I never played it on GameCube. I played it on Wii U, and I was like, okay,
that's the one I played.
This looks pretty. Like this looks good. What the fuck's wrong with me? Like, I mean, I've gotten better about it the older I get, except for Fortnite. I guess wasn't that long ago. But no, it's like don't
bug snacks.
Yeah, exactly. Don't be afraid to play things based on aesthetics alone. Because even like another game that pops in my head is like Firewatch. It doesn't look ultra realistic, but like by the end of it, I ended up loving it. It's a very mature story told behind a cartoon image, you know? And I mean, it's a fucking walking sim, for God's sake. Like, fuck a walking sim.
Yeah, I will say I have less preconceived notions about how a game looks rather than what genre of playstyle it is. So I'll stay away from a lot of things. And, you know, on the note of like things we thought we'd hate, I'm sorry, but there's not a shmup that you can convince me that I'm going to like. Like, I just don't like shmups.
Which
not
is
a fan.
Totally fine, by the way. Right, and there are some where it's like, I think you probably would appreciate the art style for it, but then it's like, you, especially their collection, I don't want to play it though, so why would I buy it? Which,
no, bro, they got anime girls all up in shmups and shooters and vertical shooters, and I'm just like, no, I can't do it. What game was it recently? I have one of them on the PlayStation 2, and I didn't realize that's what it was. But anyways, it was let me find it.
Yeah, we got time to find it. I've always liked them. It's not something like, hey, it's really expensive to collect for. Like, that's the thing. The community is hardcore for shmups, but...
It's so weird, too, because of, like, how simplistic it is. Like, think of, like, Galaga, bro. Like, and it's like, why are all these games so expensive? Because, yeah, there might be one mechanic that changes, but they're kind of all the same shit.
I enjoy them. They're really difficult, but I really do enjoy them. Everyone I've played, I've enjoyed. There's like a... Galaxy Force is, like, a great one to me. UN Squadron on a Super Nintendo.
I don't have a lot to say about shmups, man. I don't like them.
It's weird because they're not very accessible.
If I wanted to get frustrated, I would just play Call of Duty.
I know, like, it's the one that everyone kind of looks at. We're like, oh, it's because it's like $1,000. But like, I played Musha on the Nintendo Switch for like the Genesis collection. Man, it's so great of a game, dude. Like, it really is. I was like, I get the hype for this one.
I remember when it came out, everyone was really big on Icaraga on the 360 because they got the Xbox Live Arcade port for it. But I mean, I don't know. It's just not my jam. I can't get into them.
But see, that's also brings up a pretty interesting point for this episode where it's like, there are some things where you can admit you were wrong and you were pleasantly surprised, but there's certain genres that just don't appeal to you. You're like, I'm not going to play this because of the genre it is, and there's probably nothing you could do to change that.
It's just preference at the end of the day. I mean...
I found it.
What was it?
I found
Go ahead.
it.
What was it?
Castle Shikigami 2. So if you look at this, and it's made by, who is this made by? Alpha System, Taito, XS. Okay, so XS did it. If you look at the cover on this,
RPG.
That's a shmup.
This is my speed. I'm just like, I want this game.
Yeah.
And then I realized it was a shmup, and I said no. So I think I almost bought the first game, and I flipped it over and was like, what? And I put it back. So like, nothing, you could have a Dragon Ball shmup. Nothing will convince me that I want to play that game, like at all. I have no interest. I don't care.
To be fair, that was why I was reluctant to start Nier Automata, because I know there's shmup sections in it, but they go by pretty quick, thankfully.
See, there's a difference in Nier. So Nier does a very good job at blending so many styles that it doesn't sit there long enough for you to hate it.
You're not playing a shmup for 10 hours.
Mini game.
Right, because you've got like it'll go from 3D isometric to side runner type game where you jump up and down on a 2D, and then it'll go to a top down dungeon crawler style, and then it turns into a shooter, and then it just transforms so many times that like they're nice little bite-sized bits where you can still enjoy what's going on, but like that's not the whole fucking game. If the whole game was the shooter mechanic in Nier, I would have been like, nah, I don't care how nice the booty is, I'm out. All right.
But yeah, it's funny how there's just some genres you just know. So one of the games I had picked out was for that reason too. It's going to be shocking because I've put so many hours in this franchise, but I remember the original Xbox was a thing. Me and Brian were like fairly young. used his money and he bought home Doom 3, and I was like, sick, great game. Like, 'cause
You said Doom 3?
which I knew was going to be rad.
Okay.
The second game he had, he bought Forza Motorsport. I said, this motherfucker bought a racing sim. I like arcade racers. I dabble with Gran Turismo, but I never played the ones on PS2, so I was like, I don't really know what to expect here. And this is a brand new franchise. I was like, man, I want to play a fucking racing sim. And this one, all I see is like, this game is hardcore as shit. Like, the first Forza was very much a sim, and I was like, why, Brian? Like, god damn it, why? Ended up flying through Doom 3 because I'd already been playing on PC for about a year before that. So like, I remember we had to buy a new computer to actually run it. My dad was like, we're doing it. I don't give a fuck. It's Doom. Went through Doom 1 and 2, so I didn't have to play Forza because it came on the Xbox edition. It's like, all right, I guess I'll start playing this. Brian already put like tons of hours into it. He's like, you don't understand. It's a great game. And I was like, whatever, dude. Jump into story mode, and I'm like, huh. And like, I really wish we could go back to the classic Forza formula where circuits and you had to buy cars to fit the circuit. Like,
I like new Forza.
I mean, they're great games. I'm not going to sit there and take away from it, but Forza Horizon, yeah, absolutely. It's a little more arcadey. The last Forza Motorsport, they play great. They look beautiful. Like, they are a showcase for technology and graphics. They're definitely a showcase system. I don't like how the campaign was structured. Like, it's a little different.
It's so bare bones compared to the first two games were very much like it's a progression that you see unfold in front of you. Like, even like, how do I master these, 450 mile per hour beasts when I was driving a Beetle 10 hours ago? And yeah, it's still broken down by class and things like that. But like, I remember playing 3 and 4, you could just like jump ahead so fast. Like, the progression of learning to drive supercars versus driving a Volkswagen Beetle was
I'm not going to take away, they're still great games, but I feel like the jump has slowed down a little bit, which I think the new one's going to take care of.
Better be.
Yeah, I was really pleasantly surprised with I said, Brian, I was wrong, I'm sorry, because I remember like we ended up being like one of our most played original Xbox games, and like we were very, very active in the online community for that game. We like did car swapping and
some Black Venom. Shout out to Black Venom if you're still out there, bud.
Yeah, bro. So this is back in the day of no parties existing for chat. So you go into these trade rooms to trade cars, and you just had to talk over people to get your shit out there. Now, thankfully, like we had a big enough reputation. People saw us pop in. They'd be like, "Let's trade." Us and Black Venom were kind of like the big custom car people. So, but it was literally just like, imagine 6 people talking at once. I got a fucking Z06 SpongeBob. God, think about how primitive it was. It's pretty funny looking back on, but honestly, some of the like most fond memories of gaming is that first Forza Online. Like, if you had Enzo Ferraris, you were hot shit. If you had Enzo Ferraris with custom skins, you were really hot shit. I remember like the first Enzo we got, and it's like, all right, bro, we made it. And we ended up like just hours. It's funny, you get to the point where you like are trying to get these cars where you're like so like you've already got everything unlocked, but you're just like, I'm trying to take custom paint jobs on cars, and like we'd spent hours to swap paint jobs. So it's funny how a game I thought was going to be ended up being like one of my honest favorite, probably my most favorite experience playing original Xbox just on the Forza Online. So do you guys have any games that were on the podcast that kind of surprised you, that you were going in like,
Die Hard.
Yeah? How you feel about beat 'em ups in general? Kind of meh? You think there's one that could probably surprise you someday if it came out though? Like, oh, this is actually a really good game. Unlike a shmup where you know it's going to suck because it's not your thing.
I don't know, to be fair.
Maybe.
I haven't played enough beat 'em ups to like have an actual knowledge base on them. I know there's like Turtles games or beat 'em ups or whatever. I mean, that Jackie Chan Adventures game I played, I'm pretty sure was a beat 'em up. But like the second you picked Die Hard, I said like I'm not gonna like this game, and it was a lot more enjoyable after playing it. But
that's how I feel about like every game you've picked, Barry, because I'm just not a turn-based JRPG guy, but like
you gotta know going in does have a lot of clout.
What's the thing? Like, I knew about Chrono Trigger, but like I didn't think I would enjoy it. Does that make sense? It's not made for me, but it's still the best.
I'm talking like the second one of us picked a game, you heard that and you were like, I'm gonna hate my time playing this.
I got one.
Yeah, honestly, what's the Golden Sun was definitely that.
Golden Sun, you were just like, God.
Oh, turn-based RPG, here we go. And it's handheld, so I gotta like stare at this tiny screen. But like then after hearing you bring like kind of get into it, and then Nate was kind of like, I'm struggling, man. I was like, I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's not that I hate turn-based RPGs. It's just like small doses, and they're usually so long I can't beat them if I'm just sitting there picking at them. It's tough. I'm not going to go out and buy it. I'd rather just borrow it from Barry or borrow it from Nate. But I enjoyed it, man. It's a thing. There's more variety to that genre than I realized. because like I said, I'm definitely the least experienced with them. And I kind of just figured, yeah, they're all going to be the same. But like, I'm actually kind of into the Fire Emblem games, kind of into like the tactics stuff more. So to sit there and play some games that I would never play without you guys picking them. I think like most of the shit Barry picks, and that's the thing, they're usually stellar games. Like, I've bought a Chrono Trigger since. I've got one of the Golden Sun games since. So like, thank you, Barry.
Mine's
No
Jack.
problem.
Mine's Jack Bros. I enjoyed the struggle with that one, and also being like really early in this podcast, like didn't quite, you know what I mean? So like, just a quick disclaimer: I love doing this. Thank you guys, but yeah, I thought Jack Bros was gonna be a piece of shit. 'Cause you see Virtual Boy, and you just think like we get this demo from Brian of how we had to sit there and play this game because like the piece is broken. I was just like, so do I even want to do this podcast? Like, but no, the game's actually like pretty damn fun, and we all had like pretty good things to say about it. It was the one for sure. Like, Brian picked it. I know why he picked it because we're talking about like collectability, but I was like, I don't want to have to actually sit here and play this. Like, I'm really glad I did. It's a game I'll probably never own because of the cost and like being able to find one, but I'm really glad I got to play it. So if we're out of time, it's fine. But me and Brian kind of had one that we collectively had that
Go
was
for
pretty
it.
funny. So we'll make this one pretty quick, Brian. But I want to share a Spiritual Warfare Game Boy experience.
Oh, Spiritual Warfare.
So tell the audience what Spiritual Warfare is really quick.
Yeah, so Spiritual Warfare is a game from Wisdom
Is
Tree.
it Spirits of Warfare or
Spiritual Warfare.
Spiritual.
It's in the Bible.
Okay.
Yeah, so Wisdom Tree was like the biblical publisher, right? They basically made
That broke the
This
law,
a
by the way.
this a Bible game?
Fuck yeah,
Yep.
it's a Bible
Okay.
game.
it's
So-
about the armor of God. So that's what's funny. Yeah, this religious publisher was literally bootlegging games for consoles, but you know, if it's
not to get
tax
into
free,
it,
I guess it's okay.
If
Huh?
the shoe fits, I guess.
not to get into it too much, but this game was bought for us. We were raised with a little bit of a attempted religious upbringing. So I don't know if like
Same.
spiritual warfare will save your soul from burning in hell. So
I mean, it was a fun Game Boy game for what
dude,
it was.
that game was fucking rad though.
It actually holds up. It wouldn't be a bad one to do for an Is It Worth It? Because like I'm sure not a lot of people have heard about it.
Is it even expensive?
Yeah, all these
All
religious
the Wisdom Tree games
all
are
of them.
pretty. They're not like break your bank, but they're
I
surprisingly
think I have
expensive.
a manual for this goddamn thing somewhere. I
But
don't know where it's at.
Think of like Zelda, where it's a top-down, almost dungeon crawler. It's open world math like Pokemon
Ugh,
is.
$226 complete.
But your quest is to find the armor of God.
Wait, for what console?
Game Boy.
Okay, it says 130.
Still
Still,
a slouch.
your quest is to find the armor of God. So you get these different pieces of the suit, give you like different fruit to throw at people because you're throwing the.
It's the fruit of the spirit.
I was getting there.
It says Spiritual Warfare is a Zelda-like overhead action game where you play as a soldier of God, fighting the forces of darkness in various parts of modern city to find the armor of God, each one guarded by increasingly difficult demon bosses.
Yeah, dude. So you had to like throw fruit at these possessed people to like turn them to Christians and like.
Fruit of the spirit, and to get down on their knees and pray after you beat them too.
Bro, me and-
When you're in dire need, an angel may come down and help
Yep.
you. If you answer Bible questions correctly,
so,
you face off with Satan himself.
Brian and I were Bible bowlers growing up, so shout out. We got that section pretty on deck. But no, like the game we were kind of like shrugging our eyes, like it was bought for us.
There's a plane?
Dude, the game's
Dude, you don't understand.
What the
Like this game's wild, and
Okay.
it was bought for us to like, you know, obviously with like an
Background gospel music?
edutainment. Yeah, it was like
music's actually not.
Father Abraham and 8-bit. It's lit.
250 Bible questions.
Yeah. So it was bought for us to like with an edutainment aspect. Like, here, you guys should play this because like you're not reading your Bible as much as you should. And we're like,
Uh-huh,
God.
okay.
Actually, I was like, Brian, why is this game kind of fun? So
Even like it's for being such a low budget, especially back then. Like it's the transitions between screens. Like most games back then would just kind of like snap and you're on the next screen. Like this had transitions. Like it's a quality game. It's actually really fun.
since they pirated stuff to make it, you should find a ROM and play it if you like Zelda, honestly. You'll be surprised. You'll kind of laugh at it and actually have a good time because it's so ridiculous of a concept. And you're chucking fruit at people. The fruit, like, travel different. So, like, you know,
It's very godly of you.
yeah, I'm not trying to convert anyone for sure.
Throw that fruit.
Throw that fruit to convert people.
Well, that's later. That's after you cut off the dicks of the whole village in the one before.
Oh my God.
It's in the Bible.
It's in the Bible. Don't look at me like that. It's a thing.
Trying to fuck a married bitch, so you go kill this whole village and cut off their foreskin in a bag, and he dumps it in front of her. Like, it's a true story. Bible's
A true story or a Bible story?
true Bible story.
All
Good
right.
point. Good point. Clarify very quick. Depending on who you ask, I guess. We're going to have to cut a lot of that. Nope. I'm
They're
okay.
ripped just like them pears.
So, yeah. So, even if you're forced to play an edutainment game, religious edutainment game. You might even have a good experience with it. It's just funny how don't let your preconceived notions get in the way of having a good time on a video game. I think it's a lesson we've all kind of taken from.
Unless it's a shmup. And then I'm out.
That's fine for you. You're allowed to like your preferences of whatever you want to play. And that's the fun thing about this, though. We actually play our games, and we have these experiences we can talk about and share with y'all. So appreciate you guys listening in. Hopefully you guys have some stories you want to share with us about stuff you kind of thought in and had a great time with. I'm totally open to trying them out and playing them. So up next, I would qualify this as a banger. Brian, what's the next game for Is It Worth It series that we're going to be playing?
Another one of my top tier games as far as collectability and price goes. Another one I thought I'd never get to play or own, but I'm very happy to have, and we're going to talk about it. It's Bubble Bobble Part 2 for the NES.
Franchise near and dear to your heart, huh?
Oh yeah, I love this series, big fan of this series, have a lot of fond memories of this series, so only played this game, quotations played, I threw it in the cartridge, or in the Nintendo, turned it on, and it worked, and I was like, alright, it works, and pulled it out, so we're going to experience
I've never touched Bubble Bobble in my life.
Oh, the first one's all-time classic, and again, sit there and beat the whole thing with Sherry is like one of our earliest
Is it a
dates.
Mario-style game?
No, it's
It's a
like an
puzzle game.
arcade kind of game. No, it's like an arcade. Close to like, more in line with like the original Mario Brothers than...
So it's like a Mario game.
No, it's not
No,
a
no.
Mario game. I don't know why you're saying that. It's nothing like that.
It's like that with bubbles, that's why.
I guess we'll find out when we play it.
It's a battle
Arcade game.
action kind of puzzly game.
Arcade.
Arcade's a good way to play it. Originally for. Anyways,
Bubble Dragons.
yeah, it's a franchise Brian really loves. It's one that I've kind of grown to love through Brian. He kind of turned me on to it. So this is one of the heaviest hitters on the NES library. Like, NES is a very expensive system to like collect the top tier. This is like one of those games that's, oh shit, you got that. So pretty excited to experience it with you. So be sure to tune in for Bubble Bubble Part 2. Thank you guys for listening. Please share your experiences with games that you had preconceived notions that you end up enjoying. Happy hunting, everyone. Collecti-Bros signing out.
Bye.
Shatter that glass ceiling. It's staying.
I completely forgot about that shit.
Gamers!
Gamers!